Not having date behind me, this is going to be period 1. I'm going to hold it up there for a second, so when I upload this video, I can see the fact that it is 1. Last day as we get into the Brovitalk and of all our stories and things from there. So I had mentioned to you guys a while ago that this was sort of an organic thing that developed over time, and the fact that I started off by just watching movies and stuff like that at the end of the year, and then kids got me to start telling stories about myself. And then from there, it's sort of one of the things that developed from it was sort of me talking to kids and passing along advice. Because I've realized that I teach differently than a lot of other people do. And how I approach things is differently than how a lot of other people do. And there is an actual reason behind almost everything I do in class. Given, I don't explain it to you at the time, but my goal is here at the end of the year that I hold nothing back. I have no lies. I have opened up my soul to you these last 3 days. My 3 downfalls I had when I was a kid are the 3 most painful things I've ever gone through. With the idea being, the reason I do this story is today's talk, this is my last time to have an impact on you whatsoever. Because after today, we have tomorrow, but tomorrow's a short, fun day, and then you guys go off into 8th grade. And for many of you, I'll never see you again. Some of you will come back in 8th grade, and I'll get a chance to see you because you'll sign my board or we'll talk in the hallways. But for many of you, this is it, today and tomorrow. And if you don't have classes in the 7th grade hallway or you don't see me from lunch, there's every chance we don't see each other. And then after 8th grade, when you're no longer in this building, for many of you, that's it. I no longer get to see you at all. Which for some of you, I'm sure is an exciting thing. Here's the problem on my end. I really like what I do. I enjoy teaching. I've done this for 20 years. And the fact that I get paid to do this astounds me on a daily basis. Because I should not be 43 years old and get paid to do a thing I enjoy as much as I do. And you guys do drive me insane. Don't get me wrong. You guys are very vocal and chattery people. But at the same time, as a class, you guys are a lot of fun. You guys are a great way for me to wake up in the morning. And here's the drawback to that. You've made me like you. And here's the drawback with you making me like you. When I start to like you, I start to care about you. And when I care about you, I want to have good things happen to you as you continue on from here through the rest of your life. If you can imagine, you have a family member, and you don't want bad things to happen to that family member. And I don't want bad things to happen to you. In my first several years of teaching, this was not a problem. Because I taught, year ended, I smacked the kids on the butt, they went out into the world, and I never saw them again and didn't have to think about it. And then the stupid kids kept coming back and talking to me in 8th grade and in high school. And now that we have social media, they stay in contact with me through social media. So I get to follow you along your journey, for both better and for worse. I get to see the good things that happen to you, and I get to see the bad things that happen to you. And so part of that is, I see the fact that you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to screw up things in your life. And I don't want that for you. I don't want you to screw up things in your life. Because I've had the kids who drop out of high school and come back to talk to me. At 16, they drop out and they go work at McDonald's, and then they still come back and talk to me, and I have conversations with those kids. I don't know if you guys follow me on social media, but on social media, I posted last night asking my past kids conversations I should have. And I was deluged with, which means swarmed, with emails and direct messages from all these past kids. And some of them were girls that were at 17 and got pregnant. And then had to change their whole life because at 17 they got pregnant and stuff like that happened. My problem is, I don't want that for you. I only want the good things for you. I don't want you to have to be the kid that comes back to me with horror stories of being pregnant at 16 or 17, or dropping out, or the kid that gets arrested for drugs. But once you leave my room, I can't control you. You have to make your own choices. So, what I decided to start doing years ago was to take today and use it as my last chance to have an impression on you, to try and help shape you, to help guide you, and give you my last bit of advice to try and make you a better person and help send you on your way. Everything I've done this year, that was my goal. Everything I've done in this classroom was to try and make you a better person. And I know it doesn't always seem that way. Whether it's my slow kid section, whether it's standing in class, whether it's making you give me a shoe, whether it's yelling at you because you're borrowing tape. And it all comes back to just a few core things that I've realized with my kids who've come back to talk to me. A lot of junior high is learning responsibility and being responsible for the choices you make. And responsibility starts with small things. It's a baby step kind of thing. It's being able to bring a writing utensil to class, which I know doesn't seem like a big deal. But what it is that small thing of, if you can't handle bringing a writing utensil to a class, which is a thing you know you need to have for every class, how are you going to handle a job where you have a boss that's relying on you to show up, that's relying on you to not screw up people's orders? If you're a lifeguard, relying on you not to let a little kid drown. Responsibility starts in those small steps. So my goal, because honestly, junior high doesn't count. This is training school. There's nothing I taught you this year that is life-crippling if you did not learn it. There's nothing I did this year where if you slept through it, all of a sudden you're a failure at life. That's not what 7th grade is. 7th grade is getting you ready for all the important things. When you guys sit in math and you hate on math class because of all the stuff they make you do, math class is training you for life. Because it's training you the fact that when you get a real job and you want to go out into the world, which I know is far away from now because you're 7th grade and real world in life is way in the future. But real world in life, you do crap you don't want to do. You have stuff that is stupid and you look at it and go, this does not affect me. Why do I have to do it? Because that's what life is. So math trains you for that. Those little things, you have to do the little crappy things that make up part of life. So in my room, I try to teach you responsibility. But I try to do it in at least a amusing, fun-ish kind of way. So the idea of making you stand when you don't do homework is the idea that my homework's not tough. I know my homework's not tough. I know many of you get my homework done in the 5 minutes that you come in here and sit down before class starts. I don't make my homework tough on purpose because my goal with my homework is not to teach you. My homework is to teach responsibility. That's it. My homework was not made to try and make you learn something. You sitting in my class and watching me teach, that's where you learned. The whole point of my homework was to make you go home and go, hey, I could do this important thing or I could play a video game. And for many of you, playing video games is the choice. I understand. It's more fun than the homework thing. But to get through life, you have to be able to choose that responsibility thing. So I try to baby step you into it. And I go, all right, here's a little homework. It's not even tough. It's not even going to take you more than 10 minutes to get done. And many of you still couldn't do that, which is fine. That's part of responsibility. But it's a parent's job to force you to do the things you don't want to do. And it should be your parent yelling at you when you don't have your homework done. But I understand not every parent's going to yell at you when you don't have your homework done. So it means another adult who cares about you has to yell at you when you don't do what you're supposed to. I'm the other adult that cares about you, so I make you stand up. The reason I make you stand is because I want better for you. You're better than a kid who doesn't turn in homework. You're better than that kid that is irresponsible because I have higher hopes for you. So I keep pushing you. Same thing with my slow kid section over here. I don't do that because I hate you. I do it for the exact opposite reason. Because I expect more of you. Every single one of you that went to my slow kid section this year, you went there because that's my way of saying I expect better of you. And I know you can get there. And here's the thing. How many of you this year spent time in my slow kid section and became a better person and are not there because you slowly learned responsibility? That's a good thing. Different kids, and this took me way too many years of teaching to figure out, different kids need different things from a teacher. Some of you need me to be strict. You need me to hold you to a certain level of responsibility. And so I treat you guys differently because not every kid is the same. Some of you need me to make you stand. Some of you need me to send you the slow kids section or make you do a Simpson sheet. Because the Simpson sheet, the whole point behind that is it irritates you. Because responsibility in life is irritating. That's how it works. So I come up with a little irritation to try and make you a better person. So I tried to set up every bit of my room to find a way to make you become responsible. And some of you are naturally great at it, and responsibility came easily to you. Hence, I have the rewards with you get enough B points, and the fact you get to choose your own seat or something like that. And I know, and not to pick on Deja, but you mentioned most of your points came from not from talking during class, which is absolutely true. But here's the thing. I need kids to talk during class. Not talking is also not a good thing. There's a balance between the two, because part of it is learning to not talk when someone else is. And so it becomes that balance of figuring out, yes, your opinion needs to be heard. And in all honesty, when I talk to some of you, that's the thing I'll tell you. Sometimes you need to channel your inner Deja. You need to talk, and you need to express your opinion. At other times, Deja needs to channel her inner other kid and learn not to talk. But it's a balance we get to. When you guys talk, that's where the whole B point thing comes in. Because I want you to learn. Because when I want you to go to 8th grade and I want you to go to high school, I don't want you to be the kid that irritates a teacher. I want you to be that good kid in class that the teacher likes. And you guys can be that. Because I see that in you. Some of you have a few rough edges where you have either you talk too much or you don't turn in homework on occasion or you might have a few little issues. And I saw it as my goal this year to help shape you, to make you become that kid who in 8th grade or who in high school is that outstanding kid. Because when I see you, I see an outstanding kid. I just have to help you see that outstanding kid. So I try to make it my goal throughout the year to help you see you the way I see you. Even when you come to my slow kids section, even when you're standing in class, I don't make fun of you. I make fun of your choices. I might make fun of the fact that you didn't do homework. I'll make fun of the fact that you don't bring your stuff. But if you think back to this year, I never made fun of you because I don't believe in making fun of a kid. I'll mock your choices because your choices are a thing you choose to do. And you can stop that choice whenever you want. And many of you have. Several of you in here who have spent time over here or standing stopped because you stopped doing whatever that choice was. Now, some of you are still in that learning process, so you're not quite there yet. But I see greatness in you guys, and I want to see you achieve that greatness. All right. To go a slightly different direction, allow me to change from there. I mentioned one of the reasons why I do this talk is because wanting to have an impact on you. I've learned from talking to my past kids who come in and talk to me that 7th grade is your last year for some of you of innocence. And I mean that in a nice way. In the fact that when I talk about drugs, alcohol, poor choices, and stuff like that, for many of you, that is a foreign concept. It's a thing that you've not seen yet. You understand it exists in the world, but it's not impacted you. Here's the problem. For many of you, this summer is where that innocence falls away. I've had many kids come back and tell me it is the 7th to 8th grade summer where they were at a place where they first saw a kid drinking, where they first found out that someone was smoking pot. And it's as you go into 8th grade where it becomes much more evident. If at this point in your life you don't know a kid who drinks or smokes pot or goes down that path of darkness, you will by the time you leave 8th grade. It's just the way it is. And it's not you're going to know a high schooler who does. You're going to know an 8th grader who does. Because I don't think I've had any kid escape 8th grade without having it impact them. It might not be a friend of yours, But it's going to be a kid where your eyes are opened and you're going to see the fact that it is around you. When you get to high school, between the time you're a freshman and the time you're a senior, it's going to be one of your friends. And if it's not one of your friends, it's going to be you. Because you can't get through high school without it impacting you in some way. You are going to have to make a choice sometime in these next couple of years about what path you want to go on. Because you will have the option to drink, and you will have the option of drugs. You will have that dark path. Whatever that dark path might be, whether it's skipping school or not doing homework or whatever it is going to either impact you or it is going to impact your very close friends. And I don't just mean an acquaintance. I mean a friend. It is going to impact that kid that you don't think it would ever be. And you're going to have to decide who you are. Is that the path you want to go down? And for some of you, you will go down that path. I wish I could stand here right now and tell you every single one of you is going to make the right choice. And you're going to do what you're supposed to. And you learned in elementary school that drugs and alcohol are bad. But that's not the way it works. And that is not the real world. Because I talk to my past kids and I know how the world works. And it's going to impact you. And I wish I could tell you it is an easy choice. And you should absolutely go down the path of goodness. But if it was an easy choice, every kid would make it. It's not an easy choice. And there's going to be a time for many of you where you're going to have to decide between that dark path or losing your friend. And there is no easy way to sugarcoat that. Because you are going to have to decide if you want to keep hanging out with them and going down that path with them or putting them to the side. And I know that because I had to do that. And it was my freshman year where I lost my two best friends because they went down that path. And it was after I'd been arrested. And I couldn't follow them down that path. And so I had to step away. And the two kids I spent all of my junior high with, who I spent every weekend having sleepovers with, they went down that dark path because in high school, you have opportunities you don't have in junior high. So you have to decide if that's the path you want to go down. The reason kids choose that path is because of pain. And I apologize for a moment because I've done a really good job this year of not showing emotion. But today, there's every chance emotion is going to come through. We'll just have to roll through with it and we'll be good. And part of the issue is, as I get to these next bits, I know more about some of you guys than you think I know about you. And I know that there are hardships in life. Because the reason kids turn to drugs and the reason kids turn to alcohol is because there's pain in their life. And some kids have more pain in their life than they should. Whether that comes from divorce or the fact that some kids have parents that are alcoholics or parents that do drugs or parents that are just absent. And that causes pain for a kid. Because think about it. Think about your classes and you have kids that you know are bad kids. They grow into adults. They don't magically become good adults. Some people who are bad kids become bad adults. And bad adults have children. What do you think happens to those children? They have bad parents. And I know I have students who have bad parents. Parents who are abusive towards them. Whether it's physical or emotional or mental. Or I have some parents who are just gone all the time and are not there. I have parents who drink. I have parents who do drugs. I've had kids who come in and tell me stories of their parents who are drug addicts. And that destroys a kid. When a kid has pain and you're 13 years old, you don't know how to handle that pain. So you have to find a way to express it. And there's a couple different ways kids express pain. Usually in elementary school and in junior high, it's by bullying. Because when your life sucks and your life is awful at home, you have to share that pain with other people. It's too much for a kid to carry. So when you see a kid who is mean to other kids, when you see that kid who's a bully, what you have to understand is They're carrying pain. There is, and I will tell you right now from 20 years of teaching, there is no kid who is mean or a bully who is not suffering at home. It doesn't happen. It can't happen. When you're a happy person, you're not mean to other people. It's just impossible. Meanness comes from meanness. When you see a kid who lashes out and is angry and is mean and makes you feel awful about yourself, it's because they feel awful about themselves. And it's because there's someone important in their life who makes them feel like trash. The reason I tell you that is you have to understand where other people come from. Because it took me a long time to understand this when I was a kid. Because you only know what you experience. And if your whole life is happiness, and some of you come from happy homes. You come from a place where you have a mom and a dad, and they love you every night, and they hug you, and they feed you dinner, and you hate them like every normal kid hates parents, and that's what you're supposed to do, and you don't understand this part of the speech because it's not a thing that impacts you. And I understand that. But what you have to realize is not every kid has your home. Not every kid has two parents there. Not every kid has the safety and happiness at home. I have a lot of kids who don't want to go home, whose school is their safe place. I have kids who talk to me because they hate summertime, because summertime is spent at home, and home is not a happy place. And think about that for a moment. There are kids who have school as their happy place because they don't want to go home. School should not be a happy place. It's full of angry, grumpy teachers. But when your home life is so bad that this is your happy place, it messes a kid up. That's what I ask of you. Those of you who have a happy home life, who have the parents who treat you the way parents are supposed to treat you, think about that when you see those unhappy kids. And realize, I know how difficult it is to be nice to a person who is awful. To be friendly to that person who is nasty to everybody. But you have to realize, they need it more than anybody else. Those are the people who need your love and need your friendship more than the nice kids, because they never get to see it anywhere else. And I know it's a lot to ask of you. But think about it as you move through the world and you see those kids. If you are that person, and I know some of you in here have unhappy homes, and life sucks for you, you get to control your life, not your parents, not anyone else, not any teacher. You control your life, you control your path. You get to choose what's going to happen to you. You get to choose what path is in front of you. You choose whether this awful stuff that happens to you shapes you, or whether you get to shrug it off and keep being a good person. And it's not necessarily easy, but it's a choice you get to make. When I look at a lot of you guys, even those of you who have happiness in your life right now, I see two paths in front of some of you. No, I see two paths in front of all of you, but the paths are different widths. Each one of you has two paths, a dark path and a light path. A path where you make good choices and you graduate, go on to college, happy family, everything is great. And you have a dark path, a path where you make those poor choices, you spend too much time playing video games, where you don't pay attention in class, and you give up on responsibility, and you go down and do the things you're not supposed to. Every single one of you has both paths in front of you. The thing is, for me, when I look at you, I can tell that there's different widths to those paths. For some of you, the paths are equal. They're both the same width, and I have no idea which direction you're going to go. You could be a good kid, or you could be a bad kid. And I honestly have no idea which direction you're going to go. For others of you, that path of goodness is really wide, and that path of darkness is really skinny. And so I don't worry about you as much, because the chances of you walking down that dark path are not very strong, because that good path is really wide. And there's a chance you might go down that dark path, because I've had good kids go down that dark path. I've had my kids who had A's in junior high drop out. And I remember being shocked the first time. But you never know what's going on in someone else's life. And for others of you, you have a really wide, dark path. And the chances of you stepping onto that light path are slim. And it's for you that it scares me. And it's for you that my talk becomes more important. Because you need every nudge that you can get to push you onto that correct path. To push you onto that path that leads to happiness. And I've tried to nudge you this year. For some of you, it worked. And I can tell I had a connection with you. And I helped nudge you in that direction. For others of you, I didn't have as much of a connection with you. You're staring at me now, and I know that you have other thoughts in your head. And that's fine. This talk isn't for all of you. I wish it was. But in my heart, if you're tuning me out right now, and you're going to another place, that's a good thing. Because maybe it means your life is happy, and all of this information has no impact on you. And that's perfect. And that's what I want. The problem for me is, I don't always know which one of you needs to hear this. I used to think I did. Years ago when I was young and naive, because every young person thinks they know everything. And when I was a young teacher, I thought I could look at a kid and I would know which path you were on. And I knew which kids were hurting. And then years would go by, and that kid who I thought had everything together, that kid that everyone liked, that kid who seemed so popular and so happy and confident, was the one that would come back to me with life of terror and pain and awfulness. And I learned that I don't know. I have no idea which ones of you this is impacting. But if it hits one of you and has importance, then that's what's important to me. Because one of the things I learned is we put on a mask. We put on a front of what we want people to see, of how we want people to view us. And many of you do that in junior high, because junior high is about figuring out who you are. It's about trying on different personalities. 7th grade especially is about figuring out who you are and doing the different personalities and figuring out if you're the goofy kid or the lazy kid or the happy kid or the class clown or the athlete. And you keep trying different things as the whole year goes along. As you get into 8th grade, you're going to start settling on which personality works best for you, which is fine and good. That's what you're supposed to do. It's partly why I run my class the way I do. And I realize some of you talk way too much in my class, but my room is a place of safety. It's one of the things that I've realized from past students coming back and talking to me, that one of the things they enjoyed about my class is that they felt safe to be who they wanted to be. Because in here, I might harass you when you make poor choices, but I'll support you. Even if you're the kid that talks a lot and loses B points in here, I'm never going to hate you. I'm never going to be extra mean to you. I'm going to be disappointed with you at times. And I've realized for some kids, that's what they need. In my class was their chance to be that kid that they didn't get to be in any other class. Because it used to confuse me when I would talk to other teachers like Melling and Randall and the math teachers, and I would describe a kid in my class. And I was like, this kid's really sassy and talks all the time, and I can't believe their personality. And they're like, oh, that kid's mute. I've never heard them talk. And I'm like, really? Because kids behave differently in different classes. As you move forward and you go through 8th grade and you get into high school, figure out who you want to be. And whoever you want to be should not be shaped by others. It took me too long as a kid to figure that out. I mentioned with my second arrest that I spent junior high trying to be popular. It was all I ever wanted to be, was popular in junior high, because I thought the popular kids had things figured out. And I had a kid last week ask me what my biggest regret I ever had was. And my biggest regret was not any of the 3 arrests. because they actually helped shape me and make me who I am. And oddly enough, if I had not been arrested, I'm not sure I'd turn out who I am today. My biggest regret was a small thing, and it was my 7th grade year when I was trying to be popular. And I had a friend named John Montgomery. And John was dorky like I was. And we played toys all the time. We'd hang out and play G.I. Joes or something like that. And then when I decided that I wanted to be popular, I decided that John was holding me back. And that I shouldn't be friends with John anymore. And my biggest regret was the day he called to have me come hang out. And I ghosted him. And I refused to answer the phone call. And I remember making my younger brother answer the phone. And my brother said, yeah, I'll see if he's here. And I remember telling my younger brother, no, tell him I'm not here. And the hurt and pain in my younger brother's face when he realized what I was doing hurt. And I didn't stop. And it didn't stop me from doing that. And I wish I could say that was the moment that I changed and became a better person. But it wasn't. I went ahead and I stopped hanging out with John. And it is, to this day, the thing that hurts me the most. Which is weird. Because you would think of all the things a person's done. It still hurts to this day. It's weird. That it would not be something like that. But it was. Because in high school, I talked to John again. And it hurt him that day. Because he heard my voice. Sorry. Emotions are for wussies. Don't worry about it. Sorry. He heard my voice that day. God bless it. Stop it. I'm back. It's all good. He heard my voice that day. And I know I hurt him. And it was the fact that was what haunts me to this day. Was doing something like that hurt another person. And for no good reason. For the reason of wanting to hang out with kids who did not care about me at all. I ditched him to try and hang out with popular kids who didn't even know I was alive. And that's what I don't want you guys to do. Don't change who you are for others. Don't change who you want to be because you fear the opinions of kids who don't matter to you. And there are a lot of kids who don't matter to you. There are kids who are going to make fun of you. There are kids who are going to bully you, and there are kids who are going to be mean to you. Regardless of who you are, they're always going to exist. When it happens, ask yourself, are they important to you? Why do you care about their opinion? And if it's not a kid that you care about their opinion, don't let them shape you. If it's not a friend of yours that matters to you, don't let that be a person that makes you feel bad about yourself. And if it is a friend of yours who does this thing to you, think about it. In your heart, did you do something wrong? In your heart, was there evil when you did it? If there was, that's on you. If there wasn't, then you can't control other people. You never can, ever, throughout the rest of your life, control another person. You can influence them, but you can't control a person. When that person does a thing that angers you, when your friend does a thing that is backstabbing and mean, you can't control that person. Look at yourself and go, did I do a thing? And be honest. If you did a thing, apologize. Be strong enough and apologize for it and be that person. If you did not do a thing, and there's every chance you didn't, there's every chance it's on them, then don't let it stop you from being you. Moving forward from here, I've realized this year, I play a different role for different kids as a teacher. For some of you, you needed me to be a disciplinarian that made you do work. For others of you, you needed a happy place to start the day. For others of you, you just needed someone to be friendly to you that you could joke around with and made you enjoy school. For others of you, you just needed a happy teacher. But I've realized, for others of you, I serve a different role. And there's other kids where I'm the only adult who's been nice to you. And so I offer up myself to you in the future. I started this by telling you that you made me like you, and you made me care about you. That doesn't stop tomorrow. It lasts as long as you need it to. My door is open. If you ever need to talk, you are more than welcome to. I don't turn you away. Even if you're that kid who never had a conversation with me, and you think there is no chance that you're the kid I open my door to, you are wrong. My door is open to you. Even if you don't think you're that kid, you're that kid. When you go to high school and you need someone to talk to, I will listen, always and forever. Enjoy your day. See? You survived.